This is what you see, the first thing. Okay. First question says, which lines have a negative slope? So what it does is it gives you 4 lines. It gives you line A, line B, line C, and line D. If you can look at your lines, how do you know if a slope is negative? It looks like you're going downhill. So you always start on the left side of your graph and you look to the right. It's just like you're reading a book. You read from left to right. You read your graph from left to right as well. So does line A look like it's going downhill? So A would have a negative slope. Does line B look like it's going downhill? No. Does C? C is just a straight line. It's not going up or downhill. And what about line D? No. Okay, so we know that number 1 is A. A is the only line that would be going downhill, so we know it has a negative slope. Number 2, which line has a slope of 0? This means it's not going uphill or downhill. It's just staying the same. There's C is the only one that's not going uphill or downhill. It's just a flat line. So if you have a horizontal line like that, that means it's no slope or 0 slope. You'll hear it both ways. Number 3, which line has a y-intercept at -2, 0? So what you're going to do is you're going to find your y-axis. I'm trying to see if I can make this smaller without. Yeah, so you're looking at your y-axis and you're trying to see where, so the y-axis is the line that goes straight up and down. One of these lines crosses the y-axis at -2, 0. So the first one crosses up here at +1, 2, 3. That's not it. The second one crosses at +1. That's not it. The third one crosses at -2. So line or number 3 is C as well. I heard a bunch of you say that. So that's how I know is I look to see where my line crosses at. It crosses at the point -2, 0. Which one of these 3 lines has a slope of 1/2? Okay, is that slope positive or negative? It's a positive slope, so you're only looking at 2 different lines here, either line B or line D. One of them has a slope of 1/2. So what you need to do is find a point and then find another point. To get to the next point, I have to go up 1, right 2, which is the same thing as 1/2. So B is the answer to number 4. Let's check the slope of D as well. To get to the next point, I have to go up 1, 2, 3, and right 1. So this one has a slope of 3. This one had a slope of 1/2. Okay, which line is the graph of the equation y equals 3x? So if this is my equation, my slope is 3. We just figured out one of these has a slope of 3, and I actually just did it. Which one was it? D. Okay, I had to go up 1, 2, 3, and right 1. My slope is 3/1, which is the same thing as 3. And where does this line cross the y-axis? 0. So this would be like y equals 3x plus 0. Do I have to say plus 0? So your answer to number 5 is D. The next one says, which line is the graph of the equation y equals -x plus 3? What number could go in front of that negative x? Y equals -1x plus 3. So there's a couple ways we can do this. Let's go ahead and figure out which graph crosses the y-axis at +3. So line A, if I go up here, I have to go up 1, 2, and 3. It crosses my y-axis at 3. To get to my next point, I have to go down 1, right 1. So that is the same equation as what we just said. We had to go -1 for our slope, and our y-axis crossed at 3, so 6 is A. Questions 7 through 12 are multiple choice. Please write your answer on the blank on the right side. Number 7, the table below represents a linear function. Use the table to find the slope. Okay, This is going to be y1. Number 5 is going to be y1. Number 6 is going to be y2. We're not even going to use the third point. 0 is going to be x1, and 2 is going to be x2. The reason is this is the first x, this is the second x, this is the first y, this is the second y. Right below this, there's the equation for slope. It is y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So which one, what number is y2? Which one did we label that as? 6. I'm going to put a minus sign because that's in the equation. And then what's y1? Yep. 6 minus 5. And then on the bottom, what's x2? And what's x1? Okay, so what is 6 minus 5? What is 2 minus 0? Okay, so which one of these has the same number that we did? C. So you'll write C on the blank right here. I'm going to let you try number 8. It's the same thing we just did. I actually even labeled them for you. I labeled your points. And I gave you the equation. So I'm going to ask you to find the slope for number 8 right now on your own. Plug it into the equation. I gave you the equation right here. I gave you which point is what right there. It's going. How are you? Okay, raise your hand if you can tell me y2. 3 minus, what's y1? What's x2? Minus, what's x1? Okay, what is 3 minus 1? What is 1 minus 0? What's 2 divided by 1? Okay, so what's our answer? Good job. Okay, turn your paper over. This is what I'm asking you to do in class right now. I'm going to remind you of what you're looking at. You have an equation that is y equals mx plus b. M stands for slope. This tells you your rise over your run. B tells you where it crosses the y-axis, the y-intercept. So if I have an equation like your first one I'm going to do with you, y equals 1/2 x plus 3. Here's my equation. We're going to graph these today. We practiced this yesterday a little bit. I want to just make sure that we are really good at this because I have a strong feeling we're going to see it again someday. And when I say someday, I mean map test day. Just have this feeling that we'll see it. Also, okay, here we go. I'm going to make my marker red so you can see my point. Where should I make my first point? Here's my equation. Where should I make my first point? No. Here we go. The very last thing tells you where your first point goes. It's positive 3. So I'm going to go up 1, 2, 3, and I'm going to make my first point. So if it's a positive number, you go up. If it's a negative number, you go down to the negative. So if it says minus 5, you would go down to negative 5. If it says plus 4, you'd go up to 4. That last number is always what you do first. Then I have this slope of 1/2. What's the top number mean? Top number, if it's positive, it means you're going up. If the top number is negative, you're going down. The bottom number is positive, so that means I'm going to the right 2. So put your pencil back on the point you already made. Go up 1, right 2, make your next point. You can even do it again. Up 1, right 2, make your next point. Then you're going to connect them with a line. You can use your planner or just another piece of paper. But remember, your line doesn't just connect the points. Your line goes through your entire paper. Like your entire graph, I mean. Okay, so I have one more thing I want to talk about. Say your slope is too big and you can't actually do what it's telling you to do. What could you do with your slope? Do the exact opposite. What's the opposite of going up 1? What's the opposite of going right 2? So I could also go down 1, left 2. And look, I still am on the same line. Down 1, left 2. I'm still on the same line. If your slope does not fit on your graph, like if it's telling you to go up 7, but you can't go up 7, do the opposite of what your slope is saying. So go down 7 and left 5 instead. I'm actually I'm looking at 3. I don't think that slope's going to fit on your graph. So on number 3, instead of going up 7, right 3, you should go down 7 and left 3. I'm going to ask you to do these right